A special thank you to Glenn Kramer, Mark Ware, Byron Colley, Steve Dix, Bill Schreiber, Christopher Hunt, Felix Rodriguez, James Rogers, Norman Fair, Daniel Mayer, Kyle Sarpolis, Leland Lampkins, Lonnie Meisner, Michael Douglas, Paul Wood, Michael Scott, Samuel Draney, and Tom Champion.
So the first thing I'm going to do, now that I have a tripod, is you're hearing Mary's ventilator that allows her to capture the fumes from her wood burning, which is a good thing. First thing I'm going to do is get this set. I didn't bring any clamps up here with me, but you kind of build this in two halves, I believe. I hope. And I'm using liquid glue. Now I painted the hole first before I did any of this, but I do need some clamps. That's not doing it. I just put a weight on it for now, and that seemed to really work very well, because you can't really clamp this too easily. Not in this position anyway. And it really isn't closing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this together. I need two halves so I can lay out the electronics and sort out where the board goes, and we're gonna put that board together. I'm thinking it's gonna work better by hand. So it is. Quite a gap there, but that's as far as it goes. I'm assuming the gap's supposed to be there. Now, I know a lot of you guys like to use CA to glue your parts together, but I prefer to use this. It melts the plastic together. It's not easy to get apart if you ever need to, but it's just stronger. So I'm going to get these parts. The next one, of course, would be to put this in like so, and do that one, and get these all together, and then I'm going to start working on the board and hooking all that stuff up. So you can see what I'm doing here. This piece I put in, it's not glued in, but it gives more strength to the neck, whatever you want to call it, and I've fed through and hot glued the fiber optics in here, and I still have room to slip in a few more for when I get the nose piece in, which I need to do next, I think. I hope. The question is, in this grand mess, where is it? I think that's it there, isn't it? Instructions. Yes, that is it. And it does go up here, and I do believe there's a few lights up there. I could be wrong about that, but this whole thing's at the top. This fits in here like this. I'm going to glue it in, even though I still need to add that. But I think it'll still go in there okay. Let's find out. push that down. It scares me. And glue that in. And you can see it goes like that. Now let's see if we can get it open again. Back with the big clamps. And we're going to put this all together. Every time I put something together, it's the first time I've ever put it together. I have never built this model before, therefore it is a first time. So you always worry you're gluing stuff together, maybe you shouldn't glue together. And find out later you shouldn't have. But because we're so clever after all these years of building, we always figure out a way, don't we? Wow, this is a cool model. You know, I never was a big fan of the original show, but I must say, I was a big fan of the models of the ships. They're really spectacular. I mean, even in this stage, it's just so cool. The detailing on it's so nice that, you know, when you paint the entire model black, as I did initially for light blocking, but also you get when you lightly dust it with the white, it becomes a very light gray with all the cracks and details, panel lines showing it very clearly. So we got that. I'm not sure what these holes up here are for. I do see them. I suppose there's a part that goes there. Yes, there is. Okay. Okay, we're back, and now what I'm going to do is drill some more holes for more fiber optics. And I'm looking at what Randy did, and I'm seeing a number of places that I can put more LEDs, not LEDs, fiber optics. And evidently there's like one here, and I do not want to make this go through my hand. Boy, that's thick. Okay, and another one right about here. I'd like to have avoided that. Then we have another one right about here. And then we've got so I drill into a piece of wood, and that really helps. I think that's it for those, although there is a third one. I see the third one. Well, you know what? The third one is on the inside, right about here. There we go. And so now, for my next trick, I'm going to thread fiber optics. I keep wanting to call them LEDs. Now I know none of this is really close up, but I've got this butane torch going, and what I want to do is start threading some of these in. Hopefully I can. I think I can. Holes look pretty, yeah, they're perfect size. I can tell by how it's, and so I'm just kind of threading them through like this. And of course it's catching on everything on the table. So, oh, you might, yeah, I'm going the right way. Okay, so you can see, I'm going to pull that through, and you can see how it lights up. Nice and bright. And then, because we're very low on fiber optics, I'm going to feed these through very carefully, he says knowingly. I got this piece in the way now. So I'm going to pull that off. Right? Yep. We are. We're going to pull it off. Okay, it don't want to come off. Now let's see if I can fed this through. It always helps to be able to see. And when you can see, everything changes. Okay, I've been working hard on this. It looks, I really like it. It's a really neat looking thing. So I've been working on the board. I always hook up one resistor. Hook up one resistor, the power source coming in, put a jumper on the on-off switch, and hook up the light bucket for the LEDs. Why do I keep saying that? Here, I'm gonna hook up a few, put a few of these down inside of that, so you can get an idea how that works. Probably start by cutting them off all even, or as even as I can. Use those for other things. Okay, so I'm going to strip this a bit more with my fancy wire strippers. They're downstairs, and I'm too lazy to go back down there again. I'm pretty good at it, as you can see. So I'm going to hook this up to here just for now, because we are going to hook a real power supply to this. And be careful not to short anything out, which I'm really good at. I'm sure many of you are. They're not all jammed in, so but that worked out really well. So I don't know, I've got a bad connection somewhere. It's probably here. It is. It's not really touching that well. I can tell by the way it's wiggling, so or maybe it's here. There. So now you know, I know what you're thinking. This all has to be soldered and this will not happen. But yeah, you can see the lights, so pretty cool. There are more of them lit on this side and that side. So, what I also find interesting are these little specks inside the fiber optics. I'm not sure what causes those, but we definitely have them. It's not affecting the brightness at all. They're really bright, so like they're casting little beams on the paper on this side. So I got pretty far today, and we're going to disconnect that. Tomorrow I'll go ahead and wire up all the rest of this stuff. Have all the leads feeding out where they're supposed to go, and we'll start working on the nacelles. Well, actually, they're not nacelles; they're the landing bays, I guess you would call them, but they are kind of nacelles, aren't they? And so, get all the electrical in. We're going to get where is it? Where is it? Oh, here. This piece goes here, and of course, there's a little like some kind of red impulse engine that goes here, and then the blue lights go here, and the diffusion, and I have to put all that together too. We'll get that all working in here first, get all this into this tube. I'm probably going to move it up to here closer so I can get all these in. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but once they're in, it's going to be a nice thing to have behind me. Yeah, and then we'll start doing the rest of the electrical and get this together. So I love that. It's really neat design. Okay, here it is on Thursday, and it's been the week from hell with various problems dealing with PayPal, which are finally, as of today, behind us, which has taken up so much of Mary's time and mine. However, I did get back to this for a while today, and I want to show you how, you know, now there's that flickering, how the lights look now. And in fact, if I'm not sure that this forward-facing camera is good as the back camera, the main camera, but you can see. And I clean the lens off. Let's see if we get less J.J. Abrams flares. Ah, we do. There we go. I mean, it was kind of neat, but, and they look really, really bright. So let's see if I can get it to stop down. No. But you get the idea. So if I come over here into these lights, you see it more the way it really appears. So anyway, I'm very happy with these so far. So the next thing to do on this is to finish off the board. Disconnect this. And that means what I need to do is I need to solder up all the rest of the resistors, put all the wire, strip this wire, and hook up all these LEDs here to them and the locations that they go into, such as the engines. I gotta send some wires out there. So I'm gonna hook up all the rest of this. I've been working on the nacelles, as you can see here. They have to have holes put in them. I need to put a hole in this piece here so that I can feed the cables backwards. So I can fit the cables into that and have them come out here. So I got to drill holes out through this and then feed them through from here. I drill this out as well, and that will light up the cells and will light up the engines. And that's about as much as this model gets lit. So it shouldn't take me too long tomorrow and Monday to complete all this, and then we can start closing it up bit by bit. Of course, the other thing I have to do is that's where the CG is, and that's where the brass tubing, I hope I have, if not I'll have to get some Monday, goes through and comes out here, and we feed the power source from the power supply through there. So that's what we got done so far, and we still have one more day tomorrow, Friday. Okay, Jamie, thank you for ordering this Outer Limits mask from the Chameleon. One of my favorite episodes, of course, a lot of them are my favorite, but I really like the one with Robert Duvall and the whole storyline. You know, it speaks well of visitors from other worlds and how their intentions probably will never really be to harm us. And also in human beings doing the right thing, because that's how the Outer Limits was. It always said, yeah, we have a lot of problems as a race of beings, and we're really trying to find our way. But there's some really good people, and they get it. And some of you will know what I mean by that when I say they get it. No, do the right thing. Anyway, this is the Chameleon mold here, and I'm about to pour some latex into it. As soon as I get all the bits out of it, which I just did, I think, making sure the seam line's clean so we get a good fit back together and don't leak any rubber. Rubber's expensive. In fact, I calculated that depending on the mass, it cost me between $35 and $50 a mask, if it's really a big one, just on the rubber. So, yeah. I don't know how they're doing things in China with some of the cheaper companies, but obviously they're using watered down rubber and the masks are thinner and who knows. There, that fit together really good, the two halves. Now I'm going to put the strap around it to keep the halves together. Yeah. Because we don't want it popping apart with, 3-4 gallons of rubber in it. And dog hair in the mold is extra. We charge extra for that. I think I'm twisted around, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt it. I'm going to put this down here and we're going to snap it shut. There, and you see, that's something we don't like that happens, is It's not snapping open again. I don't like that at all. So that's what we do. We put this in. That's really bad because that's how you lose rubber. I've actually had that happen. Pop open and rubber came out. So and, there's no way to reclaim that rubber. Once it hits the floor, it's going to stuck in it. It's no good. I'm going to try to. Of course, it's giving me nothing but problems because normally I would never have this problem. But it's we're filming, so hey, let's make Steve look like he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Anyway, let's get this a little bit more open. Like that. There you go. And it's still going to try to do that. This is, now it really can't. It should stay together pretty good. Looks like it is. Still bothers me. It could be tighter. There we go. There, eat that. There we go. Okay. Molds is still pretty good condition. We haven't run a lot of these. Air limits masks, unfortunately, have not been as popular as Star Trek and Planet of the Apes. It should be, because Air Limits is one of the greatest science fiction programs ever on television. Sorry, Star Trek. Star Trek was very good too, especially when Gene Roddenberry was at the helm, because it was his vision, his concept. Now, evidently, it's everybody's own interpretation and vision, which I don't subscribe to. Sorry, but I don't have to. Okay, so got rubbers open. We've made, I don't know, 5 masks, 6 masks, 5 masks out of this allotment. Now, a lot of times what I like to do is fill it up and then pour it out again. And the reason I do that is because it breaks the surface tension on the mold. And even though I lift weights, it gets hard to do. So about 50, 60 pounds I'm dealing with right now. You're probably seeing the top of my head. But when I do that, I can see little bubbles all popping and stuff, so it makes it nicer. Now I fill it up again. I hate that. There was something in there, some kind of chunk, thick piece of rubber or something, because it coagulates sometimes, and as a result, it went up in my face. Okay, so that's how we pour up the rubber. Checking the time, 10 to 12. This will sit in there till about 2:30, and that'll be plenty thick enough, I hope. So, after 40 years, that's a joke for people who know Monty Python. 40 years, and they're going to give me a brush. Ken Shabby. We cleaned toilets all those years, and they, after all that time, they were finally going to give him a brush. You see, I think it's funny. Steve Dix thinks it's funny. Paul Butcher thinks it's funny, and a lot of you other Anglophiles out there probably think it's funny. So that's it. Now, occasionally I'll come back and splash up this over the next couple of hours to make this edge also get thick, because the process that goes on here is, I don't know if I covered this before. If I did, please forgive me. It's always new to somebody, and that is, if you know anything about pottery, what's done is we use what's called slip clay, and it's like this rubber, except it's clay. It's a very watered down, creamy sort of clay. You pour it in a plaster mold. The plaster is dry, and it absorbs the moisture out of the clay, and it builds up a thickness in the inside. You pour it out, you open the mold, you carefully take the piece of clay out, and then you fire it in the oven. Well, we don't do that with latex, but it does work exactly the same way. The porous material that's dry absorbs the moisture out of the rubber. It builds a thickness on the wall here, and it gets thicker and thicker. The longer you leave it, the thicker it gets. And you want a thick rubber mask because they'll last years that way, especially if taken care of properly. And that would mean when you're not displaying it to friends or family, or you maybe just feel like looking at it. You're in your office, I want to look at that. So keep it in a plastic bag, keep it out of the sun, keep it away from ozone generators. Don't put it anywhere near an ozone generator because you've got one in your office. It will rot this mask in no time, and then you'll complain to me, like some of you have in the past, that my mask rotted right away. I said, do you have an ozone generator in your room? Yes. Well, look up what ozone does to natural rubber. Don't. Bad idea. Sun's bad too. So keep it out of the sun. Keep it on a shelf. Bag it when you're not, just put a plastic bag over it when it's people aren't over and you want to display it or show it off. And it will last 30, 40 years or more, because I've had people send me pictures of their masks who kept them that way, and they're still really good all these years later. Like a guy sent me one of my Sightings masks that he got hold of from the old TV show Sightings in the 80s, and I mean it was the 90s, I can't remember now. And it's still fine. Either way, 90s, 30 years ago or more. No. Anyway, now you know everything there is to know about latex. Aren't you glad you asked? Maybe you didn't. So even if you didn't, you got to find out. So we will dump the rubber out of this later, and then it'll sit over the weekend. We'll take it out of the mold on Monday, and I'm sure it'll be a great one. We'll paint it, send it off to its new happy home. Okay, here we go. We're gonna dump the rubber back in. It's been almost 3 hours. This mass is gonna be pretty thick. There's the mold, there's the bucket, more or less, mostly less. But what I have to do now is use my superhuman strength and I'm gonna dump this rubber out. And it's gotta sit upside down for about a half hour. Gives me a time to do some more soldering, which is what I've been doing. We also had a very important visitor today. A young man named Joaquin. He's 12 years old. His parents brought him by. He's been flying with us at our rocket launches, and he's very inspired about the space program and being involved in space exploration. You know what his favorite movie was? Completely shocked me. He's 12 years old. His favorite movie is 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then the next one is the, he really loves The Right Stuff. I gave him a Mercury Redstone kit, an Estes, really nice kit today because he so much loves NASA and all things rockets. So that gave me a tour of the studio, and but I was able to pour this up before all that happened. Then we had a bunch of other visitors because Friday is open to visitors. But it's really important for me to spend that time with that young man and his two wonderful parents. So he went home with a nice rocket to build, the Mercury Redstone, Gus Grissom's ship, and I got to stay here and pour rubber. So this is going to sit upside down like this for about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to put it right side up, and then it will dry out over the weekend, and we will pull it out on Monday. And this is what it looks like when it's upended. Looking inside the mold, you can see how nice and thick it is. So we are good to go. That clock is wrong. So what I'm doing now is I've been wiring up this board with resistors in my usual neat and clean style. All these years, it's been working. So what I'm doing is I'm hooking up the 3 engine light outputs. We got one red one in the middle, and we've got the 2 bright ones for the main engines. And these are all on the 220s because we want them to be really bright, the size of the resistor. So let's stick that in that hole there like that. Bend over the braid. You see how neat and clean I am. Take a little bit of this. And where is it? This is really the wrong soldering iron for this, but it is working. So that's in there secure and snug. There's a bug in the rug. And I'm going to put the other one in. And this all takes some time to do. And you got to be careful when you're doing it, because otherwise you really should twist these wires, because when you go in the hole, they try to fray a bit, and you don't want that. So I don't have to show you all this, but you get the idea of what I'm doing here and how much work it entails. Well, we need longer ones that I identify with color-wise different than these, so I'm going to do that. Randy gives you this rainbow cord, or wire, whatever I could call it. Okay, now separate it. Darker color will be positive, which is red, so that's fine. Then we're going to hook up that one. Oh, long snippers. There we go. There we go, a little bit more. Okay, so that's what I'm doing, and then eventually Monday I'll hook up all the lights to this. We'll see all the lights light up, and then I'll permanently mount this and start working on hooking up the engines, and then we're going to attach the hanger base on the outside, open. That'll be attached to that part that connects them, and having the wire go through it to light up those. And we'll do that on Monday. So that's it for this week. Boy, it's been an amazing week. Mary and I are kind of exhausted. We had to really deal with quite a mess, which was ongoing because of the PayPal incident. Now we found that since we have Stripe, we can make Stripe buttons and put those on the website in the stores that you're familiar with. On our website, which is Steve Neal's Art Blog, which is down there. And yes, that's actually not a blog, it's a website. That's .blog is the dot. So it's not .com, it's not .org, it's .blog. But it is a website. It has a menu. A lot of you miss it. It's at the top of each page. And there's the collector's mass page and a few others. And there you will find, over the next several days, buttons you can press that you can use your credit card, PayPal, or whatever method you use. You can pay it through Stripe, and it goes right to our bank account with no hanky-panky and no hackable credit cards or any of that stuff. So it took 2 weeks of hard work by Mary and myself, day after day, which has not made it easy to get work done, but we're finally past it. And I thank you all for your patience. I had to refund some of you because the Etsy store turned out to be a rip-off, huge rip-off, and I will never use Etsy either. Long story, I'm not going to go into it now, but I just wanted to express our gratitude for all your support and the wonderful laser cutter. We bought a few more things for it to add to it that we needed, but this thing is going to rock the house, and we're going to be cutting pieces and doing all kinds of amazing things with it next week, thanks to all of you that helped us. We love you a whole bunch, and we'll see you next week for another SMG Studio Report.